Herrera. I was having technical issues, which is why it's starting like this is. I'm going to pass the mic off to him.
District, Donald Trump wants to wipe off the map. To set the tone for the nation, we already have. Whether it's by our music, or by our sports teams, or by our ability to be the compromised state, and I believe in that still. Together we can create the headlines that finally we can cheer for, that are meaningful, and show justice. My name is Jordan Herrera, and I'm running to represent you here in Missouri's 5th District, but I'm not a career politician. Some of you had asked me, have I ever held elected office? Yeah, I'm not a career politician. I'm not bought out by anybody, and I've made a pledge and commitment to not accept corporate PAC dollars. You gotta talk the talk or not do it at all, right? If you're gonna say you're against Citizens United, but also take 66% of your funds from corporate PAC dollars, well, which person are you? If you're gonna say that you're building the coalition, but you only get 4.3% of your dollars from grassroots, that tells me you're not out talking to people and connecting. You don't have that coalition. But in our campaign, in just 6 months, we've already recruited 2 House representatives in districts that had no Democrat running. We're gonna flip seats here in Missouri. It's not just about Jordan Herrera winning a federal office or an election. It's about saving Missouri from this Republican supermajority. We're talking about Purple Power 2030 here, folks. And with that, that's building the coalition out. We've already done the groundwork. We're partnering up with Missouri state representatives and senators. Some of you had questions and concerns tonight about redistricting, so I do want to touch on that just briefly. We're going to fight like hell. We're not going to let them go away with it easily. And hell, even with the map I did just see, let them. If you give me Kansas City and Columbia, the 2 strong blue dots in this state, hell yeah. That's a win for Democrats. We can capitalize on that, and Democrats will be winning statewide elections if we do it right. We gotta master the map. We gotta fight them back. Also, we can't use Republican talking points to win arguments. What I learned in the courtroom is you don't use your adversary's language to win the court. You don't win the case, by using your adversary's language. You use your own. We've got to take back the language. We can't say what Donald Trump says. We need to call out things for what they are. ICE is just domestic terrorism. It's not law enforcement. Stop using your language. Use your own. Call it for what it is. It's not alligator Alcatraz, and if you say that stuff, you might as well align yourself with the Republican Party. That's the same thing as calling it the horrors that happened in Germany in the 1940s. You don't need to say that crap out of our mouths. You call it a detention center. You call it what it is. You don't let them get away with it. You don't normalize it. You don't humanize their intolerance. You don't humanize bigotry. You don't humanize discrimination. You do what we're doing right here, coming together as a community. Amy Pepper, where are you at? Amy right here is with Respect Missouri Voters. This last session, you saw Missouri legislature try to, they did overturn the will of the voter twice. Amy is leading a group called Respect Missouri Voters. They're trying to protect the will of the voter right now. They're seeking 300,000 signatures on a petition. She's here to get your help. They've raised $300,000 across the state. They have volunteers across the state executing on this. This is how we're going to win, by partnering with organizations. My good friend Tracy Steele couldn't be here tonight, but he started up Do Something Mo, a local organization that's doing exactly the same thing that we've partnered up to do with the American Federation of Teachers and Nurses. We've launched blue boxes across the city and Crossroads. We're collecting school supplies, cleaning supplies and canned goods, because we know that support services were cut all across the network, all across that safety network that used to be there for families. So we're shoring up the difference. I don't need an office to do good work. We're gonna do it now. We're doing it. On the screens, you're gonna see a young man named Dwayne Urban show up. He's a young Black gentleman who reached out to me. He's 17 years old, maybe he's 18 now. 18 years old possibly. And he told me he has an interest in politics. Actually, if you don't mind, can you stand up? I'm gonna give you a little shout out. This brave young lady asked a question at Beto O'Rourke's rally here. And she has an interest in fighting for young people, fighting for her community. And if you don't mind, how old are you? 20. She's 20 years old. This is the difference between a leader and someone who says they're a leader. A leader brings young people along to replace them. A leader mentors. That's the difference. When Dwayne reached out to me, he and his whole team were told the same thing. If you want to learn how to win and run a race, you don't have to pay thousands of dollars. Join up with me. Shay and I will show you exactly what you need to do. Cody will teach you what you need to do. So we peeled back the onion. We unfolded it for them, and they are learning how to do it themselves. Dwayne is now running for Next Gen Politics in a nationwide campaign race. He's going to win, and we're going to support him all the way. So here's what I had to do for me that was different. To build a better life, to get away from how I grew up. I think many of you had heard that story. My call to action is wake up the neighbors. Has anyone not heard this story? Okay, a few people haven't. All right, good, good. Otherwise it'd be a spoiler. I grew up in a very, very humble place. Very small house. We were very extremely poor. We didn't have windows on our house. A lot of people are shocked by that, but it's because there was a lot of violence in my home. You see, my parents were two young people below the age of 25. They were never given the tools on how to be successful parents themselves. So when they had 3 boys with a shoestring budget, alcohol came into play. It expressed itself in alcoholism and violence. Unfortunately, as a child, I had to live through that, and a lot of kids who grow up in that space, you adopt a role. I was the mediator. I got in the middle of the fights. Maybe you haven't noticed, I still do it now. But at that young age, what 5 or 7 or 8 year old can really do anything to stop 2 grown adults, right? So my second job was to run out of the house and wake up a neighbor to use their phone because we were too poor to afford one in my own house. It wasn't because we didn't love one another, and we didn't try, and we didn't work hard. It's just hard. Because we had food stamps, but every time we tried to use them, people would mock us and shame us. So it was just difficult for any kind of relief in Nebraska at that time. Anyway, my job was to run barefoot across the street and use that phone and wake up the neighbors because there's a fight going on in the house and I needed to save my family. And that's exactly what's going on now. There's a fight going on in the house and it's on fire, folks. And if you haven't noticed, there's a lot of people who are asleep to this. They're exhausted, there's political burnout, I get it. But that doesn't mean we stop, we have to keep knocking. In fact, I'm banging on the fucking doors to wake up the neighbors and remind them there's a fight and I need you to do it with me. I need you to bang on doors with me. Can you do it? I can't do this alone. Even after that fight with my family and how I grew up in difficult conditions, that's why I enlisted. There was no way for me to afford a college education. Right now, there's 2 pathways typically. A near impossible or maybe a death sentence for military service, or a certain debt sentence with financial institutions funding your education. We can do this better. There is a better way. My plan calls for a usury cap on student loans attached to inflation. A usury cap means we limit how much the interest rate is attached to inflation. We tackle predatory interest rates are low, and we do it also looking in the rearview mirror, meaning we take back the compounded interest rates that are killing Americans today. We have to do it. I've never chosen the easy path. Maybe you can't tell. I chose to work for Andrew Bailey, of all people. But I believe in public service. That's why. So I started as a civil litigator, and I learned a lot in that first year. I litigated and managed over 50 cases as a first-year attorney, settling 23, excuse me, by myself. There was no training program, there was minimal supervision. Of course, I would have to have my things routed through somebody if they would answer. It was horrible. It was difficult conditions. It was near burnout conditions. And what pissed me off most was Andrew Bailey is also a veteran. So when I stood up on June 10th here in Kansas City to protest against ICE coming into our communities and kidnapping people with their mask over their face, and a lot of people have said, well, why did they have to show themselves? Because it's fucking America. Because we deserve dignity. And show your goddamn face and treat us, because we're human beings, damn it, and our lives have value. You deserve to be valued. If you're gonna arrest us, show us who the hell you are. Identify yourselves. It's not wrong. We're just asking for dignity. So 2 days later, Andrew Bailey fires me in the morning. In fact, I'm walking around. I have my termination letter with me here tonight. One sentence. You are dismissed as of June 12, 2025. No justification, no cause, no reasoning, nothing. And when I asked Kelly King, the Deputy Attorney General, who handed me the letter, what's the reasoning? She says, oh, we got multiple complaints from so many people. Okay, I just had my annual evaluation and it was better than my peers. Nothing showed up on that. Give me one of the complaints. She couldn't name a single one. It was political retribution. She just couldn't say it, folks. It's happening in our state, but I'm not the first one. There were thousands of federal employees that came before me, and today we saw thousands more federal union employees lose their jobs. They're coming after 80,000 VA employees this month alone. This fight is not over, and there are a lot of people who are going to lose their source of income. That's why this fight matters. And we don't need a career politician. Somebody who's been there for 2 decades has had their opportunity, and I respect him, truly. I'm not here to tear down anyone's legacy. I'm here to build upon it. I'm here to grow that foundation up. I'm not here to tear it down. At the same time, we don't need some social media influencer activists. We need a person who understands the law, follows the law, and will fight for Kansas City. We need someone who's actually going to address housing, who's actually going to address the economy that's going on right now and healthcare access. In our state alone, we're looking at 64 hospitals in the rurals closing because of this only billionaires benefit bill. You see how I don't use their fucking language? Our environment is under attack. Women's reproductive access has been under attack. And we can't have congressmen in office who are unwilling to fight for the LGBTQ in this country and unwilling to fight for women's reproductive access and asking us to wait 2 or 4 more years is injustice. It is unqualified injustice. We do not need to wait our turn in line. Telling us to wait 2 more years is damn near telling us to die in the process. Amen. Not gonna happen. So I'm asking you tonight, well, I'm gonna thank you first. Thank you again tonight for listening to me, for coming out, enjoying this time at Gaels, but also please, if you can, open your hearts, open your wallets. There's QR codes around the room for a reason. I printed them out myself on my little home printer. This really is a grassroots campaign, folks. Shay puts his heart and soul into everything he does. He spends over 70 hours a week, so do I, doing all of this work. We're doing it for you. And as you know, I'm unemployed. Still doing this for you. But we need your help. That's the truth. And that's what this night is about. Not only about helping us gear up and build the machine to protect you and advocate for you, but also to come together as a community. So please introduce yourselves to one another, get to know each other, share your business cards and network, because that is also what this night is about, is bringing us together as a family. I know that you guys are in the good work of waking up the neighbors. I'm glad that you're awake and you're here. Just make sure that we go out and wake up our neighborhoods, wake up the blocks. If you're interested in hosting a block party, we have several going on in the north part of the district, and we have a few going on in Lee Summit. That's something we're available to do. We can bring our bar card out to you. But yeah, catch me after this. I'll be walking around the room answering your questions.
So my name is Shay Hilder. I am Jordan's campaign manager. And let me say that what you see is what you get. He is one of the most authentic people I have ever met in my entire life. And it has been an honor and a privilege to work beside him. So give it up for Jordan. I also have everybody's favorite task. I am here to ask you for money. As Jordan said, Citizens United allows corporate PACs to give thousands and thousands of dollars to candidates, and our opponent takes that money. And in order for us to win, to fight back, we need money of our own. But instead of going to some big corporate PAC and getting $6,000, $10,000, we want to have conversations with all of you and get $5, $10, $25. $30 gets you a t-shirt tonight. But thank you very much for being here. It means a lot to see this many faces in the crowd. This is our first big event. We hope to see you out more. Linda's telling me to remind you to sign up to volunteer. So please see Linda. But thank you. We'll be around to talk and let us know what we can do for you, because that's what we're here to do. Thank
you. I wasn't scheduled to speak, but I live in Clay County and not in the 5th District, I'm in the 6th District. I am Vice President of the Kansas City Pride Community Alliance. Yeah. I can't say I support anybody because that would be a violation. But personally, I can say I support Jordan. I met him at Pride. There's a lot more to this man that he's giving you. Not only does he need money, he needs you to get on Facebook and Instagram and put the word out. This man is here for us. I ran for Congress in the 6th District years ago, and it was a difficult time. It was a difficult situation, trying to raise money, trying to get to everybody. But I did better than Kate Barnes when I ran. I was saying the 6th District is a very redneck area. It is difficult to be a Democrat there. And I would encourage all of you and ask that all of you please tonight do your due diligence and let's get this man elected.
Thank you guys so much.
And as the end of the event, I'm going to actually sign up because I gotta get. Have a good one, guys.